Hi everyone. We were talking this week about the importance of awareness in self-protection. And you'll see by the title of this video, self-connection is self-protection. Well, what do we mean by that? The idea is if you want to be a really good warrior, someone who's a martial artist, we need to be aware of our surroundings. That's the number one thing. If I'm not aware and I walk into the wrong situation, or I could have prevented a fight or an argument, then it's my fault. I missed some steps there. I wasn't as aware as I should have been. And we know that the art of the ninja is about being aware of our surroundings. Well, how does connection come into this? We know that we are becoming highly addicted to technology. Nowadays, in the last 20 or 30 years, because of Moore's Law, technology is expanding to unbelievable new lengths, and we are becoming more and more dependent on our cell phones, our computers, our video games, our televisions, as distractions in our human lives. I'm not saying these are a bad thing, but I believe that they are changing society through culture at an exponential rate. I'm always blown away at how the younger generation that I talk to is having severe trouble with these. They are becoming highly addicted to their phones and their computers and their video games, and how this appearance and irony of thinking you're more connected using a device because you feel connected to the world is actually making us more lonely, more isolated, more depressed than ever before. And there are studies that are showing this. Science agrees that these things are really making us worse at communicating. So what do I mean by connection? I believe that the less that we use these, the better. Now, of course, we use them for Google Maps and things like that to make a quick phone call or a quick text. But how many of us out there, myself included, text too much instead of picking up the phone and calling? A mother just 2 nights ago of one of my students said that her daughter has anxiety when the phone rings. She cannot talk on the phone. It makes her heart race. She has a grand fear of it. All she can do is text. She feels very comfortable behind the screen texting. And this story is everywhere. I hear about it all the time. I had a student last week who got a patch and was looking over after he got his patch, and the crowd was clapping, and his mother's face was buried in the phone, barely paying attention to her son who just got an award. And this happens over and over again. My heart fell for this poor boy who just wanted his mother to look at him and clap and make eye contact. But she was so self-absorbed that she missed the opportunity. And we are all, myself included, are missing the opportunities to live. What we do is we look at these phones and we get what's called dopamine hits. Very small, exciting things that make us excited and happy. So when we go to Facebook and we check and we get a like, or you post something on Instagram and you wait for feedback from your friends, and we feel so connected when we put out that perfect picture of our family that's been sterilized so that the world thinks our life is perfect, when deep down it's the opposite. Why is it that we get dopamine hits? Well, it makes perfect sense. When the phones ring, we get contact from people and it makes us feel good. But I'm telling you, my friends, the best thing we can do as martial artists, as human beings, is to put this down. So rather than just complain about it, what's the solution? How do I fight technology when it's everywhere and when we rely on it so much? It's very simple. You have to unplug as much as you can. Can you imagine the samurai of old being on a cell phone? He might have used it like James Bond as an information gatherer, but he wouldn't have used it to communicate with his wife in the next town. And we need to do more of that. The most connected that I felt with human beings in the last couple of months is every time I have a deep and meaningful conversation face to face with a friend or a loved one or a family member. When you just can sit for hours over a cup of coffee and talk, it is so cathartic. It makes you feel so connected. All of your stresses and you feel very relieved to talk to this person. You feel great afterwards. And I had a conversation just last week for hours and hours with a couple of friends. And we accomplished nothing but to connect and sit and communicate. For thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, we as a species have evolved to communicate non-verbally, to communicate with our words and our facial expressions, not through technology. We don't know how to communicate with this. We're newbies. And it's really ruining many people's lives because we're becoming so addicted to this that we are forgetting how to communicate verbally with people. And I beg everyone out there, as myself included, to unplug as much as possible. If you're already doing this in your life, if you realize you have an addiction to your phone, an addiction to your computer, an addiction to the internet, an addiction to video games, and we're spending more than half an hour a day on something, there's a problem there. And we need to recognize that. We need to cut back. That's the only way we're going to reconnect and self-protect ourselves back with nature and with our human beings. And our relationships will continue to suffer immensely if we continue to rely on this for small hits of dopamine and things that make us feel good. The real connection is when we unplug, turn these things, throw them down, and just sit like the old days of the 60s and the 70s and even 80s, where we actually had to sit and talk. Go grab a beer, grab a coffee, and sit on the back porch and talk with your friends and family and just watch how reconnected we feel again. And it's never too late. If you feel isolated from your family and friends, all you have to do is be brave enough to pick up your phone and call them and say, hey, let's meet next week. Let's have a party. And guess what? It's going to be a technology-free party. Let's just sit and talk. Let's play some games, board games instead of video games. That, to me, is one of the most important aspects of self-defense, is I need to be more aware. And I cannot be aware of an attack coming in or anything if I'm sitting there on my phone when I'm walking across the street or driving. We have to learn to disengage from this and re-engage with our heart and our mind and our voice. That's just my opinion. You may disagree, but look around you and see if yourself or your loved ones are becoming highly addicted to technology. Remember, self-connection, getting rid of the egocentric I and me, and reconnecting with the world and the people that we love. That is the way to a healthy and very happy and fulfilling life. Self-connection, connecting with the world, is self-protection.